What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am here with an insanely talented vocalist and a musical renaissance woman, if that's what the correct word is. The amazingly talented Miss Katerina Nicole. How are you?
Hey guys. Hi Chris. How are you? I'm good. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk with you too. Like I said off camera, I love the new EP. The debut EP, Serene and Violent Oceans, it released earlier this year. At the time that we're recording this, it's probably been about a month and a half since it released. So, how has the reception been from what you've seen online, and how are people reacting to it?
I gotta say, I was so satisfied with myself when we finished this EP because I accomplished it and I was so proud of the journey that I went on. And then putting out this body of work is so different and new to me. And so getting that feedback where people are resonating with it and they're relating to some things with it and they have their favorite track and they have feedback for me, it means a lot. And it's so cool.
And I know you're already working on the next EP, as I've heard you say in other interviews. So Has the has the feedback from the fans kind of influenced your decision making or kind of impacted your songwriting process for what's coming next?
No, we were already working on EP2 as the first one was coming out. My team was just like, we got to keep the ball rolling. And I was like, don't we want to see like how people are gonna, like it? They're like, no, they're gonna like it. I'm pretty sure. Like, let's keep going. And that's a also new territory to be 2 feet in and giving it another shot and having more story to tell. And I realized, wow, I do have a lot more to say. So, it's kind of an amped up EP, this next one. So, anyway, Serene and Violent Oceans is out now. And oh my God, it's awesome.
How does it feel to finally have it out? Because I know you had been working on it for a while, and I think by the time the EP came out, you had already like finished the songs like a year or year and a half in advance. So to finally have people hear it and react to it, how does that feel to just finally have it out there?
Yeah, with my previous stuff, I was putting out my tracks right away. There was no thought process of, hey, how are we gonna, pitch this and market this and all this stuff. So getting into this EP, after I did my track Last Whisper, it was a year later that I got in the studio. And so I was already really prepared and I knew what I wanted to sing about. And getting into the studio, I didn't know sonically what was going to happen, but some magic happened. And just, I was very lucky that I had my producer right there with me, just reading me, knowing what I needed, what was a good sweet and sour. And that's something that I had to get on board with. And, you have to be okay with not fully accepting something right away because otherwise you're going to get in your own way. And so it was a learning process for me of, okay, some sweet vocals that I'm used to and, my background of pop vocals, they do actually suit this heavy music. So it was a journey for me.
I know you talked about how lyrically your music kind of took a turn with your last couple EDM tracks, and that kind of was that like a catalyst for diving into the heavier music head on? Because I know you grew up listening to heavy music, but was that kind of the catalyst to make the full transition?
I think I just didn't know what I was capable of because I didn't go to band class in school. I never was in a band. I never explored that side of myself. I was always very just independent and, you know, getting into a band and becoming a team. And, I'm branded as a solo artist, but when I start performing, I'm going to have a band and it's just like a whole new thing for me altogether. So, yeah, it's it's new.
How does it feel to be making the music that you kind of grew up listening to? Because I've talked to a couple artists that started in one genre and then eventually made the transition into rock and metal music, and they always said from the jump, like, this is what I always listened to, this is what I always wanted to make. So to grow up listening to that type of music and to be making it now, what's that mentality like for you now?
It's kind of like, okay, I'm doing it and I'm here and I have people that support me. I have a great team and sometimes they're believing in me when I'm not, believing in myself. And you just kind of, again, you're grasping at this idea of like, I'm doing this. And that's probably what's been the most profound thing for me is being in the studio and realizing that I'm capable of doing it and it feels really good. And then you're hearing something that sounds good and you're like, okay, like I love this. And I think it's the idea of the collaboration too that I didn't have before. I worked with my producer long distance doing EDM and, I just kind of go into the studio blind and kind of, sing my melodies and, it was just a different experience. Whereas when you sing heavy music, a lot of this stuff comes from, you know, your own demons and battles. And so you're bringing up all this stuff and you're vulnerable and you're around people that are ultimately going to see that and experience that side of you. And having a support system, I think, has been the number one thing for me.
I've heard you talk in other interviews, and I think it was with the Chord Progression podcast, and you talked about like growing up listening to heavy music. And for the life of me, I can't remember if you talked about how you got into music in general, but did you also, at the time that you were like growing up and listening to music, were you also into folk and EDM and stuff? Like, how did you get into that side of music and doing that first?
Yeah, I was really young when I learned classical and folk and doing singing competitions, and I even did opera training and musical theater. And then it wasn't until I was in my teens that I opened my eyes to alternative music. But I spent a lot of time exploring music in general. And I just thought, hey, I'm going to learn how to DJ and see what this is about. So that's where the EDM came in. And it was really fun for a while. I really, really enjoyed it. And I still love EDM. I still love listening to deep house music when I'm in a chill mood. I'm so broad with my music, and I think that's great to have all this, inspiration coming at you. My mom listened to rock when I was growing up, and my dad listened to R&B and disco. So they're from different eras as well.
Wow.
So it's just like what I took from it was like when I was in my adolescent years and angry a little bit, I was like, oh, I love this. I love what I'm listening to on Octane right now.
It feels like you didn't like completely abandon your like past sonic sensibilities and you just like brought it into a different thing. And I think that's really cool.
And I got to give credit where it's due. And I say this in all of my podcasts because Jordan Chase, he was just able to see me and he knew what I needed. He knew what he needed to do. I didn't ask him to keep that stuff, and into this EP, but he just knew like not to totally abandon it, like you're saying. And I didn't start listening to Bad Omens until we were almost done the EP. And I was like, I fell in love with Bad Omens. And then next thing you know, I'm listening to all these new bands. And, it really annoys me when people are like, oh, you never heard of this band or you never heard of these guys. And I'm like, you know how many freaking bands are out there? And I'm like, I know them now and I freaking love them and I appreciate them. And I don't know if that's foreshadowing, but like, Just Pretend is freaking amazing. I love that track. And you know how many people love that track? And yeah, Jordan was just like, he can read people really, really good.
Who were some of your favorite artists that you discovered through the process of working with him?
Definitely, I'm embarrassed to say Bring Me the Horizon because he brought so much inspo from Bring Me.
Hmm.
Bad Omens, Spirit Box, I listened to a little bit before. Um, Deftones, I've listened to it for years now, since I think 2016. And that's Jordan's favorite band. So he really tried to get me to exercise my vocals in the booth, like Chino, which is not easy to do. I don't sound anything like what Jordan can do that easily. He'll be like, "Oh, sing it like this," and then I'd get in the booth. He goes, "Okay, just do you, do your." So there is a lot of that inspiration from these great artists.
And now my favorite tracks, especially with EPs, it's really hard for me to pick favorites because there's no room for fat on EPs, so and they're all so different from each other. But I think taking music and lyrics into consideration, my two favorites would probably be the opener, Catch My Breath, and Darkling. Now, I'm really curious, like, I always ask this in regards to when I talk to people about albums or specific releases. Because those are my favorite tracks, I really love asking this. Are there any memories or any stories from making those specific songs that stick out to you in hindsight?
Yes. Do you know the story behind Darkling?
I've heard it in other interviews, but right now I'm drawing a blank. So I would
That's
love to
okay.
rehear it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was younger, growing up in a really old house near a cemetery, I woke up in the middle of the night, the top of a bunk bed, and my sister was on the bottom, and there was a girl sitting in my computer chair facing me like this, just completely drenched in blood. And it was the scariest moment of my life. And I just remember having that paralysis and being completely terrified. um, trying to lay back down and close my eyes and try and get back to sleep and forget that that ever happened to me. And like, I had a couple other ghost stories as well in that house. And when Jordan started sonically making Darkling, like all these creepy vibes started coming up for me. And same with my co-writer, Matthew Lazaire. And so I was flying to Las Vegas and it just like came to me and I was like, this is what this song is, my Darkling that I can't get out of my head. Yeah, so that was a fun song to write. And then also Catch My Breath. It's a backstory of a relationship that was really hard for me for many years that I had. And so, the first words like lend me a chord, let me lay. I made a bed where we both died was like this was a failed relationship and it was a hard one and it felt like I'm still going through it right now actually. And so that was the start of the this EP was there's some things I gotta get off my chest in a healthy manner, put it into art because I'm not getting over it type of thing. So I think it's been a healing journey for me as well because I was able to put lyrics into like something lighter, give it light, give it love, and just kind of work through it.
With transitioning from the poppy side of music to rock, what was the process like in like adjusting your vocals for this type of music? What was it much of an adjustment for you?
Yeah, it's not easy. You don't want to hurt your voice. You're trying to sing along with, some of your screamer artists that you want to in the car and you're just like, I'm not doing it. How do you do this? And it was a lot of YouTube videos. And again, lucky for me, Jordan Chase is also a great vocalist and also a great screamer. And so I did my own type of training, not really nailing it for like a year after Last Whisper and getting in that inspiration before getting into the studio. And it wasn't like until, hey, I'm like, I wing things a lot. I've been winging it for my whole life for
Me
like
too.
everything. And I'm like, you know what, let's just see how it goes. And it just, I got a couple of takes, and that one on the record is just like, that was the most cathartic one. And it was the one that after I did that take, I was like, whew, like I needed that. I felt it. That's a good one. Yeah. And then getting into the scream and what I know now, more of a growl, a little bit more, dark. And that one felt good too.
And how is it to like preparing for live shows? Is it because I know some hardcore vocalists they kind of change their voice and they don't replicate it the same way that they did on the recording. What's that process like for you?
Well, I've done one live show for this EP, the EP release show,
Hmm.
and I chickened out for the scream in um in what I know now because in rehearsals, I was letting Jordan do it sometimes, and then I was doing it some other times, and I should have just been doing it every time because I looked at him and he was just like giving her on bass, and I was like, oh shit, he's not gonna do it. So it didn't happen. But I did one for Catch My Breath, and it wasn't great. I'm gonna be honest because I You know what? It's my first show in a long time. I'm nervous. My voice is cramped up and it just did not come out properly. But that's okay. You know, it was a good learning experience and I take that like I just need to just to do it a few more times, you know? Yeah, even for now, getting into EP2, it's like now I can actually naturally practice going from my clean vocals to a scream a
Hmm.
lot quicker when before I would be like, oh no, it's coming up. You know, how do I get back to my clean vocals after this? And now it's much smoother. And of course, this is going to take a while. But I only did I think 3 vocal days and hearing the first vocal takes of my screams in these new tracks to, the third time I did it, I'll be like, oh, I can do this better. Like it's been a couple weeks. Let me get back in and do this again. And by the third time and we perfected everything at the end of these new tracks, it's like it's cool to see yourself from where you start on something and to where I am now. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, I can imagine what that feeling is like when you can actually see and hear the progress. Because I know for musicians and creatives in any field, progress isn't a linear thing, but like when you can actually see it and hear it in real time, uh, I imagine that's a great experience.
Yeah, especially when you get renders, of your vocal sessions. So they're completely rough takes, and he renders them out, sends them to you, and you get to listen to them for, a day or a couple days or a week until you get back in the studio. And then you get the next render, and you're like, damn, this is so much better. Like, I got this.
I want to talk about your visuals and the aesthetic with your music videos and the cover art. I want to start with working with Black Wolf Films because the music
Shout out
video,
to Black Wolf. Woo!
phenomenal producers, phenomenal cinematographers. What's it like filming with them? Like what what does a day in the life of that video shoot look like?
Yeah, I love that we can shout out to them right now. Alex Kuvatsos from Black Wolf and Tom Flynn. Amazing, amazing work. Like Alex's ideas and then what Tom can do to direct and make that shit happen is exciting. And I've never been on a film set. I've never done a music video. Um, there wasn't much prelim back and forth. They gave me the concept, I approved it. Next thing you know, I'm flying out to New York and we're there on set day. So I'm in charge of my wardrobe. I've got hold on, I'm excited right now. Chevy Marie, amazing makeup and hair. She just nailed it. She's absolutely amazing. I love her. And then you just start and you're like looking around, on set and you're just like, yeah, but how is this gonna turn to this? And next thing you know, you get a little glimpse of what they're seeing and you're just like, whoa. And next thing you know, it's professional and spot on. And I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I'm like, let's keep going, like let's do this, let's push it. And with the abyss scene in the cold water, getting choked with the cords, and I've got my art director, Kevin Moore, just like yanking on me, and I'm like, okay, again. I love it. The whole process was just like, yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned Chevy Marie because I was looking at the video and that's like the first thing you see is like the doctors and the chair and everything and I saw Chevy I was like is that Chevy? Because I had no idea that like
Yeah. How do you know Chevy?
I'm a huge Ice Nine Kills fan. Um,
Her stuff on that is great. And they're fun people to work with. Yeah. That's what she told me all about it. You got to trust the process because what you get with the end result is phenomenal. And oh my God, I'm so proud of her. She's an amazing person in general to know, and her work is incredible. Also, Dom Delfino was he an extra? I don't think he was an extra that day, but he was help on set and he also took the behind the scenes photos for me, which is the cover shot that's on the YouTube. And I use it for like a lot of the PR stuff, the one with me and the chords and stuff. So his work is also really great. And he was on set with me for House of Cards as well. So I
mhm.
did go back to them as well. We wanted to do a performance type video for House of Cards, and I love the concept with me with my headpiece, and I'm getting summoned by the guys. It's a great video. It's I don't think it's getting enough exposure right now. Um, it's fantastic. I absolutely love it.
House of Cards is another great song too. I feel like as far as your vocal performance goes, that might be my favorite track. Especially like I love what you do in the chorus. I just think that song is great. I had that one on repeat since it came out.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
As far as the cover art for the EP itself, who was the mastermind behind that vision and what were you trying to convey with the art and how it coincides with the music?
Yeah, my art director, Kevin Moore, he is the owner of Soft Circuit, and he also does artwork for Rise Records. So he's done a lot of amazing art. If you guys should check him out. And he had a vision for me, and I came in just like little old me, like, hey, I'm rebranding myself, as a rock star. So, can you do something for me? And he's also local in the same area as my producer, and it's just like a circle of friends. So that's been really nice, meeting people by acquaintances and friends of friends. And so I had to put a lot of faith into, getting a cover shot. This is my first cover shot. I'm like a pack of nerves. Usually I'm super chill, but that day doing the photos, I was not the funnest person. It was very cold. We had a lot of things go wrong. I don't like being cold. I'm cold now thinking about it. And he was like, just trust me. Just trust me. I got it in here. It's gonna turn out really good. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. Yeah, and I wasn't feeling it. But then once I saw my photos to choose from, they were amazing. And they were done by Tegan Klein from Glow Media. And she was working alongside Kevin that day. I also had a wardrobe stylist, and seeing the shots, there was many good ones. And it just came down to the color options and what I was going for. And I've always loved red and black. So it came down to that one. I knew that we had the shot when we had this red light shooting up at me that you can see in my cover shot. And I was like, I think we just got the shot. And they're like, yeah, we just got the shot. So yeah, I'm so proud of Kevin Moore from Soft Circuit because he took on me as an independent artist and brand new artist out of the gate. And he put a lot of things on the line for me. And so having somebody believe in you from the get-go just by hearing your demos is pretty amazing. That's a weird feeling in general. And building that relationship with him along the way has been magic. And he actually joined me in New York for the music video as well. I wanted him there. I needed to have, his creative direction and input as well. And so, yeah, he's helped me with my website. He's done my merch. I absolutely love it. And I can't wait to work with him again for EP2.
And speaking of EP2 and like getting in the headspace for releasing another body of work, I know both for musicians and fans like me, music is a huge means of catharsis and just like personal growth and discovery. So through the process of making Serene and Violent Oceans, I know that some of the source material was inspired by some turbulent times in your life, and I'm really curious, like, what were the biggest things that you learned about yourself through the process of making this EP, and how is that learning process going into the making of the next EP?
There were so many aha moments during Serene and Violent Oceans. And one of the biggest ones is that I'm worthy of doing music that I really want to do, which is this heavy type of music, and using my vocals in this way because it feels so damn good. Um, and just not pushing away music like I did for a long time. Like after my adolescence and I was listening to a lot of alternative, I just pushed music aside. I stopped taking music so seriously. I never sang in front of some people for like 10 years. It was a weird thing. Like I went through some stuff and I felt like somebody could take music away from me if I showed that side of myself. It's a weird thing. I don't know. But getting back to my heart and soul during this process and just being like, it is a safe place for me. And getting on stage feels good and safe for me and, letting loose and just kind of getting back into that headspace of like, this is where I want to be.
Before I let you go, this is my favorite part of every interview. I have a speed round for you. So I've got 5 questions. If you want to elaborate, you can. I'm not strict with the speed part. First question, your favorite song to play live?
What I know now, it's the band's favorite song. It's amazing to sing and perform and that energy exchange.
Your most embarrassing moment on stage?
It was last fall in Las Vegas and just jumping in before even the intro of Complicated by Avril Lavigne.
Oh.
And poor Ziggy Zeno from the barbershop in the Cosmopolitan was just like, okay. And we move on.
Your dream tour lineup?
Oh, that is like it's crazy to like put together because like I don't even know like exactly what genre I am because my songs are so mix match,
Mhm.
But I feel like I would absolutely love Lamb of God, Paramore, or Haley Williams. Um, I do love Sleep Token. We could go with Dayseeker and oh, and Let's Go Ginger.
It,
That'd be fun.
that looks just like my playlist with how all over the place it is. I love that.
And it makes it more interesting when you're at a show because then you like get to know other artists and stuff. It's cool. There's so many bands that I became a fan of just by listening to them live that I didn't even know existed. So,
Same. Your favorite thing to do outside of music?
volunteering at an animal shelter. I do this in Naxos Island, Greece, where I am right now, and I love it. I find dogs chained up and I get them off that chain and I rehab them, find them a new home, give them all the love. And it's my other passion that I dedicated to. So
And the last question, always my favorite one, the song you wrote that means the most to you.
catch my breath because I was able to write that first song. It allowed me to continue my journey through this EP of Serene and Violent Oceans.
With that, that was everything that I had for you for this go around. I hope our paths cross again in the future, whether it's in an interview setting or at a show. But until then, was there any closing message to any Katerina Nicole fans watching?
Yeah, go to my website, support me by buying some merch. My CDs and vinyl are epic, and check out some upcoming shows. They're not posted yet, but trying to work on that for later this year.
Thank you so much for the time. This was a lot of fun, and I love your music. I loved getting to talk with you today all about the EP, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
And to everybody who watched this, thank you for watching. And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.